I'm Nick Booth, head teacher of Thorpe Infant School, and I've been working with the Southend Educational Trust now for 3 years in a role of the Gifted and Talented Coordinator. The course that Judith and I have been delivering to 17 schools across the borough has come about from a need from the schools themselves, wanting some practical ideas about pushing forward the Gifted and Talented agenda within their schools, with an understanding that it's not about elitism, it's actually about ensuring that children's gifts and talents are recognised, and that we do all that we can to provide an enriched curriculum that we can celebrate the gift or talent in every single child. And we hope that we've given the teachers the opportunity to reflect on where their school is with that agenda at this moment in time, and decide some steps in partnership with their head teachers and their governors about moving that agenda forward in their school.
And we were purposely quite flexible in the planning because we didn't want to have it as a closed agenda. We wanted to be open so that if an issue arose that we needed to address, we could do so. However, obviously we did look to see what the key areas were going to be. So we spent quite a while thinking about the register and which children should go on it and how those children should be identified, which then raised issues of curriculum, because if provision is correct, identification becomes easier. So I think really the first session was very much looking at that and thinking about the register, looking at the paperwork they already had in school. Did they have a register, or was this at an early stage of development?
So I had main objectives. Sorry, I didn't realise this was going to go. It was to raise the understanding and profile. G&T was kind of lip service. It was very high, then it was lip service again. So how did everybody know what G&T was, or more able? And how could we make sort of children actually had some pride in it as well? So we wanted to talk to the children as well. Make sure all the staff, I just said this I think, all the staff are aware of the pupils and that they were going to provide for them as well. So that, you know, it's okay saying, oh, you're gifted and talented in this and you're gifted and talented in that. But what are we actually doing about it? And so that was a reawakening, really.
There was a lot of misconceptions within our school of what talented, gifted and able were, the definitions, and they have changed over the course of time. So it was a real sort of boost for us to get sort of recognition and know that we're in the right direction, talking to other schools. And just get opening the lines of communication and feedback to your staff and knowing where we were. Now we've raised the awareness, and now we've got this shared vision of where we want to go, and now we're developing the steps, and hopefully the next step will be the sort of evaluation of it and then the continuation.
So currently children are identified in maths and English if they're achieving 2 fine levels above the national expectation for their age. So I've been quite strict with my register and literally having our exceptional children on there, but I wanted to see if there were children that we were missing who had potential but needed support in another area.
I'm Gemma Butler from Darlinghurst Primary School. I've been Gifted and Talented Coordinator for about 6 years now. It's something I'm very passionate about, and I think we do it quite well at our school. And really the course has been brilliant for me so that I can get in contact again with other gifted and talented coordinators in the area. That's what's been really useful for me. Initially on the course we had to identify the areas that we wanted to learn about ourselves, and I think everyone had kind of the same thought that it was good to kind of touch base with each other again after a while of not meeting. We wanted to think about identification of gifted and talented children and how to get our staff team really on board with developing the gifted and talented in our schools.
We then thought about our journey and where we were going as a school with our development of gifted and talented, and we had 3 objectives. We're moving along. We haven't achieved all of them at this moment. Our first was to establish a working definition of gifted and talented, which is shared by the whole school community. The second objective is to review and update the gifted and talented register, and finally to establish regular and effective monitoring and evaluation of the provision for gifted and talented children.
Trying to define what a gifted or talented child is contentious, and a lot of people don't think you should do it at all. There are some national definitions that have changed over time, but schools should very much discuss amongst themselves what they understand as a group of professionals, because what one school can think about and decide is their definition could be different from another school. So schools did work together, they looked at each other's definitions to see have they got similarities. There are some overlaps, but it is contentious and it remains contentious. Even though we were running the course for the gifted and talented coordinators, there are still schools who really feel uncomfortable at acknowledging a child and saying this child should go on the register.
I don't know what I was expecting from the course. I think just to find out what my role was and find out how I could best fulfil my role. And the course has done that. It's not perhaps the route I expected it to go, but I am aware of my role. And what the course allowed me to do is to focus on the first steps, to stand back, look at what the school's need were, and focus on that and take the first steps on that journey of helping the school meet those needs. And as a result, I've completed the research project, met those needs, and it's highlighted the next steps that we need to take. And so it's going to be an ongoing journey.
And the idea of schools coming together to expose teachers to expose themselves to their colleagues like you've done, and to talk about things you're doing, hardly ever happened. And it's, I think, fabulous to see this now, because the amount of knowledge that's gone across in the last hour, and the impact that would have not just on one group of children, i.e. your classroom, but thousands of kids across the town. I mean, that's really reassuring.
I think personally, out of it, I've got a greater awareness of my role. And as a result, I've got more confidence. And also, even just coming along to the presentation today, I've seen that other people have got similar, are taking the journey, similar steps that we are, that actually identifying able, gifted and talented pupils is quite an issue in a lot of schools. So that's quite reassuring. And looking at as to how you can support those pupils seems to be, once you identify them as gifted and talented, that also seems to be another area. So I'm keen to follow it up, to not just, okay, I've done this job, let's deal with it, sort of put it to one side, because it's ongoing. As somebody said, once you've got your gifted and talented register, you don't stop there. Children change, the register changes. So yeah, it'll be good to take this journey a bit further along.
Yes, we're very pleased with the commitment of the people that attended the course. They've kept on coming back. It's been a very short time for them, really within a school term, to have attended 3 training sessions, to have led staff meetings in their own school, to undertaken and decided on action research within their own establishment. But they've all done that, and that's a wonderful tribute to those individuals, but also to the opportunities they've been afforded by their leaders within their school to develop themselves professionally.
I think they really have come to see, if they weren't sure before, that it is about all children, and it is about enabling children to do as well as they possibly can. And it's unpicking the teaching and learning that goes on within a school. And it's taking that step. You have to be quite daring in your teaching to be able to be open-ended and to provide challenges in the classroom, because sometimes they don't go in the way that you might predict they would go. For some teachers that is quite challenging. So they've been very, very enthusiastic. I think the enthusiasm that's come through and the sharing of ideas, they've been really good about trialling something and sharing with their colleagues at the session, and that's been very positive, very powerful.
And I believe the Gifted and Talented training has been the avenue to realise those core values that the Trust has in terms of innovation, trust and collaboration. And this is actually the outworking of that. It's not just empty rhetoric. It's that the schools in the borough are committed to actually making the best for their children, but also children across the whole of the borough of Southend.